Hey guys, welcome back. Chlorine King here. Have you ever wanted a salt system installed in your pool but just wasn't sure how to do it? Well, you've come to the right place. I'm going to show you how to install the Pentair iChlor 30 salt system from start to finish, and hopefully you guys learn a little something, so stay tuned. So the first thing we want to do is cut the power off of the timer and breaker, so go ahead and shut the timer off. Go ahead and flip the breaker off. Now I just go ahead and flip all the breakers off just to make sure there's no power anywhere inside this breaker box. Alright, so what we're going to go ahead and do now is mark where we want to put the power center. Put it right here next to the timer. So we'll go ahead and draw a couple marks here on the wall. Alright, so now we got the holes marked. Now all you need is a hammer drill right here. You want to make sure that it's on the hammer setting right there, so that way it drills through the concrete. You need a masonry or concrete bit there. So let's go ahead and drill one for you. The secret's not to push too hard because it'll drill itself. Now we go ahead and just take our concrete screws and our impact driver. Go ahead and just put the screws in, secure it to the wall. There you go. Now it's secured to the wall. So now we went ahead and cut a sample flex to connect the two, and now we're going to run the wires. Alright, so here's a power center. Pentair has these already available for $240. It's a white and yellow wire. They also have for $120. They got a black and purple wire, but it's already wing nutted off, so we don't have to worry about that. And this is the internal grounding lug. So what we're going to do is just hook these two together. And take a wing nut. And do the same here for this black wire. Again, try to make them nice and clean, not all tangled up. I hate when I have to do that. Work on someone else that made it all tangled up. Another wing nut. There you go, so there's that. And now we're going to just stuff those in there. And what we're going to do is get a flathead screwdriver and attach the grounding. So, put it in like so. Make sure it's nice and straight. Wires there. And there you go. That's how you wire that part. Alright, so here we are back at the breaker box. The timer box for the salt system. Now if you remember, we're running the pump off the breaker lines 1 and 3, so the pump has continuous power. So what we're going to do is a little safety feature is it should be ran off the same lines as the pump if it's a traditional setup, but with this being a little different, we're still putting them in the same slots, 2 and 4. But this will allow us to set up a set time the salt system turns on and off, and we can do whatever we want with the pump. It's never good to have the salt system running when without the pump running. So there we go, that's all set up now. And then I also ran the ground wire into the breaker box over here. Alright guys, so just finishing up the power center area. Went ahead and ran the column wire from the pump to here. This is a little clip that pops out. Just pops out like that. You run it in the right spots and you just put it back in. Of course, it's impossible to do one hand. There we go. And so we're going to button this up, and the power center's all wired up, good to go. Tighten up the wires. Bonding wire over here to bond that, and it's coming along here nicely, so we'll show you the finished product here in a few. Alright, so here's all the connection on the underside. This part right here is from the salt cell. That gives power. This gives power out to the salt cell. This over here is the bonding wire. Again, that same line running for all the pool equipment. This is the CK𝐭 wire from the pump. A great feature about the iChlor or the 𝐸𝐸𝐿 is that it'll only dispense chlorine when it recognizes the pump's on, so that's a great feature. And then this is just the power going from the power center, you know, getting out to the breakers and all that stuff. Alright guys, here we are at the salt cell installation. This was a complete overhaul, so I redid the entire discharge side, so I didn't figure I'd have to show you how to attach this, but Pentair actually includes with their cell a little cutout diagram. I believe it's 8.5 inches for you to attach the unions. And when you attach the unions, you want to make sure it's only hand tight. You don't want to torque them down with channel locks or anything that can cause some breaking. You want to make sure the flow's in the right direction. That's going out to the pool, so again, make sure that's orientated correctly. Some other things per Pentair's manual. If you have a heater, you want that to be 3 feet or further away from any heater outlet. And also you want to put a check valve in between the heater and the salt cell so the salt cell doesn't backwash into the heater and ruin the exchange. The performance of this is 20 to 105 gallons per minute. That's the capability. So if you exceed 80 gallons per minute per Pentair's manual, you want to make sure you put it in a Hartford loop to make sure that you can keep the flow within its recommended range. And that's about it. Alright, so let's go ahead and fire this up. Alright, so here's what the buttons mean. The yellow flow means that we're getting good flow through the cell. The cell button is off right now, but that's not a bad thing necessarily. It only generates chlorine based on the output, a percentage. So right now it's only going to be making chlorine 40% of the time that the cell is on, so that's not a bad thing. If you want to change the output, you just lift up this plate here and change it through here. You can actually dial it down to the 1%, which is awesome. The salt light here means, this flashing red means it's not sensing much salt right now, but that should go away as it runs a little longer. If it's a solid green, that means it's a good salt level, and if it's a flashing green, that means there's too much salt and you need to possibly dilute it. It's still generating at that time, but they warn you in the manual it could be corrosive to the system and to the pool. So that's a quick rundown of the operation of the iChlor.